Warning, this video may contain graphic content, such as sexual scenes, violence, gore, boobies, and the rest of the fun stuff. Please be over 18 to view this, and don't say we didn't warn you, little sinners.
Endlessly searching for an original
So hey guys, welcome to the Sinfully Fun Games. Today we're going to be looking at the game Breakout, the Rematch. This is on Kickstarter, and we're going to look at a game and how not to make a game. That's right, I'm not going to go easy on this one today. Why? Because I played through it, and frankly, I very rarely say this, but it's not a very good game. Now I'm going to skip over the opening for it because it's just a very, very, very long and boring sex scene. And you know what? We're gonna get into the meat and bones of the game. Be right back. So, his little dream sex scene is over. Alright, I'm going. Damn, this thing is so loud. It's late. The alarm must have been ringing for over 30 minutes now. The thought of disciplining myself lingered in as I got ready for today's assignment. It'll be quite exciting, to say the least. What's that? The answering machine beeped every 2 seconds. The light flickered to notify me of a message. Curious of who left the message, I pressed the button to listen to it. Mr. Eksuki, all the paperwork is now organized. I need you come here after the classes are done. Club activities begin at 3:45 in the afternoon, which means you will have plenty of time to get here early. So they delayed the schedule a bit. That's fine. The less people around, the better. I begin preparations for my first day of tutoring. This place is awfully calm after classes. I noticed there were very few students leaving, which was quite convenient for me. Like this, I wouldn't stand out as boldly as I would have during the typical crowded hours. Seriously, it's like a ghost town over here. It's unusual. There aren't many students around. I imagine it should become crowded soon. I let out a little smile as some certain thoughts came to my mind. I shouldn't expose myself too soon. So, I'm gonna start with saying it's kind of a boring game, so fair warning. Laughing under my breath, I immediately went up to the principal's office. The meeting with the principal was long but simple. I was a bit disappointed. It was some old man and not a sexy and mature woman like when I studied here. It does make sense that she retired, considering what happened. Well, that settles it. I chuckled to myself. The memories of what happened in the past never cease to amuse me. Speaking of, I wonder if those students have arrived yet. Haruka Academy, my old high school. Even though I graduated a couple of years ago, it feels like it was just yesterday. So I'm going to say this. If I was making this game, I probably would have started with this right here instead of all the sex scene stuff in the beginning, which even the patrons don't get it, guys. It was so long and boring. You don't need to start with a sex scene. Honestly, you need to build up to it and make it interesting. If you're just starting out with it, then it's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Not a lot of people are going to read it for the story. I've had a lot of good times in this place. It's changed quite a lot since then. There's plenty of material to select from, however. I'm your generic deviant. First, I should scout this place and get used to the schedules. They can't be any different from when I was here. During the meeting, the principal had told me that there was a set of students he needed tutored in math. Apparently, they all excelled in sports, but were simply helpless with numbers. Conveniently enough, all of them were female senior students, close to finishing their studies. I guess it's natural for athletes to suck at more complex subjects. I looked at the schedule the principal gave me earlier during our meeting. Let's see, who should I check out first? So you don't even get a choice. This place feels alive, that's for sure. In the 2 years since I graduated, the archery club seemed to have grown a lot in membership. I remember it only having a dozen members. Also, I'm gonna point out the music is a very short loop. Now the dojo was filled with young students, most of which happened to be female. I couldn't help but laugh at the thought. The selection was so large I could finish my personal task right now. Oh? The continuous sounds of bows being drawn and released finally drew my attention to the sole figure actually shooting. I notice everyone is looking at the same student, bearing a solemn expression on her face. Curious, I nose in, trying to catch as little attention as I can. What the fuck is with the face? That is really weird. I've actually not looked at the faces yet. Something about it is just off. Oh, pretty. I focus on the beautiful young woman. Her dark raven hair flowed onto her shoulders. The headband in her hair gave out an aura of being old-fashioned yet released a beauty that seemed too hard to ignore. The young woman showed a serious and cold expression. Her eyes were fixed on the target. Without much effort, she gracefully drew the bow and released her shot. The arrow drew a perfect arc, which hit the center of her target 60 meters away. The students immediately cheered and clapped for her. Yay, yay, we're not gonna do shit, yay! Just as expected from Miss Katsuragi. Oh, really? Generic name. She isn't our best member for nothing. She's so beautiful. I wish I could be as skilled as Miss Katsuragi. We're definitely going to win the regionals again for sure. I see, so she's the star of the archery club. Quite popular with the students at that. She was one of the students that the principal had listed for me. He was quite modest when describing her assets, physical assets to be exact. It's no question as to why everyone idolizes her so much. She's from the prestigious Katsuragi clan. I took a closer look at the girl, focusing on the ample curves of her breasts. Of course she did. They were really noticeable despite wearing a minuet. I hope that's how you say it. And the thick layer of clothes over her body. Very high class. She's worthy of being one of my interests. Katsuragi turned to look at the small audience of students who continued to cheer and praise her. She was like an idol in a traditional fashion. It took me a few seconds to notice that Katsuragi had her eyes fixed on me. I couldn't tell if it was because of the simple curiosity or a vision of condescendence. Condescension? I can't read, nope. The other students then did the same, and everyone started to notice that I was present. This might be inconvenient. I stepped back for a second, keeping my cool before approaching the mature-looking Satsuki. Although she was clearly younger than me, she really had an aura of maturity, like she was a woman ready for marriage. Oh my god, the writing, Jesus. Good evening, Miss Katsuragi. Talk about a cold shoulder. Satsuki stood composed, staring at me with cold eyes. She didn't seem to actually be ignoring me, however. Based on my experience, most girls would be startled just by my sudden presence. Club members, especially with their star members, tend to be too territorial. My apologies, Miss Katsuragi. I'm Shin Akatsuki. Absolutely. Wait, wouldn't it be one N? I was assigned to be your tutor for one of your assignments. She tilted her head to the side as if she was perplexed by me. This is becoming tiresome. Is there a chance for us to talk when you're less busy? Her face suddenly changed, revealing a concerned frown. What is the urgent matter you wish to speak with me about, Mr. Akatsuki? I have to play this smoothly, don't screw up. I took a deep breath and showed off my most attractive smile. This is in regards with your grades in mathematics. I've come as a request from the principal. It's a form of social work in a sense. What the fuck? What? So wait, are you not a teaching assistant? What are you, a friggin' criminal? What the fuck? What? The young woman remained calm, which resonated with everyone else in the dojo, including me. So is he not a teaching assistant or a teacher in training? What the fuck? What? Social work? What? What?
So, you are the one our director told us about?
Ah, so he already told you.
I do not really see the need for such measures, but if he insists...
I should have expected this. Club activities take so much time. It's nothing out of the ordinary to take some time off for these subjects. Besides, if you fail them, then you'd have to give up your club activities anyway, no? She stared back with a gaze revealing that she was slightly annoyed by me.
Listen, we have regionals very soon. I'm putting all of my efforts into this.
Indeed, wouldn't it be more favorable for you, your team, and this academy for you to excel in your academics as well? Satsuki stared back at me in silence once more, visibly pondering in the very simple logic I had laid out for her. She's either dense or just trying to play me off. I'd be bored of you within 5 minutes. I have to be more forceful with her if she gets too troublesome. The writing in this. So, it seems like they're trying to be Japanese with the writing, but it feels like, and I don't know if they are a Japanese team or not, but it feels like they're trying to be Japanese, but they're missing the mark, if that makes sense. Because I've done a lot of these visual novels, and it feels like an American team trying to be Japanese. And I've kind of learned when you're trying to do that, just kind of be your own thing, because the more you try to be a different group, the more you tend to fail.
Can you be ascertained, what? That our club activities will not be interrupted due to this?
I just smiled back at her, trying to control my natural arrogance. Nope, first one worked better. Of course not. We've taken all of this into consideration.
Very well. Can I expect you to get in touch with me soon?
Of course. I was given your information from the principal. I'm looking forward to it. I continued to smile and bowed my head as a gesture of respect. I shall leave to continue your activities then. Okay. Miss Katsuragi, have a good day.
Likewise, Mr. Atsuki.
With a single nod, Satsuki immediately followed suit. That took longer than expected. It was quite worth it. I met the school's archery star, who happened to be a complete babe. I plan to pursue her very soon. Who should I check out next? According to what the principal gave me, the next student I had to tutor was a member of the school's tennis club. There are more guys than girls in this club. Back in my day, the club was nothing but babes. I had even gotten to do some of them. I snickered to myself as I remembered the past, while searching around the school grounds. Most of the players are only fooling around and not taking training seriously. It was obvious that they were pretty lazy in their practice. So I'm gonna guess it right now. Every single girl is gonna be the star of their group. Watch. I looked at my watch and realized that maybe my next target wasn't around.
My, is that you, Mr. Atsuki?
I felt my heart stop and time had frozen around me as I heard a faintly familiar voice. What startled me the most, however, is that the person knew who I was. Then again, could be one of my teachers, but...
Hey, I'm talking to you, Shin!
After a moment, I turned around, facing the one calling out to me.
Hey, Shin, if you're going to be like that, at least try to hide the tent you've pitched in plain sight.
A chill went down my spine as I realized that it was none other than Ritsuko. I took out a principal's file and noticed the surname. Yasuhiro. Should have been more observant. I wanted to hit myself in the head for not realizing the fact soon enough. It made sense someone like Ritsuko would be failing at math. If I had realized you were going to be the one of my students, I would have recommended someone else to be your tutor.
Oh my, Shin! Are you still hurt about that?
This is going to be very problematic. I guess it makes sense. You were never good at math, and you certainly don't look like the particularly bright one.
What was that? You're playing with fire, boy. Are you trying to provoke me?
Ritsuki's expression changed. Her eyes grew narrow, and she wore an intense frown. Her yell caught everyone's attention, and they turned their gaze towards us. Careful there, Ritsuko. You don't want everyone in the club to think you're an airhead, eh? I could swear that Ritsuko popped a vein or two, but in reality she only turned red due to embarrassment. She closed her eyes, sighed, and looked at me again, with that condescendingly smug face of hers. There's something about the bodies that are disproportionate as well. And again, she looks like she's slumping up her shoulders.
You should watch your back too, Shin. I know some things about you.
Damn, even if I don't want to, I still have to deal with this bitch if I want to proceed how I planned. Fine, what do you want? Ritsuko amped up her demeanor, her face beaming with pure confidence. She bled an arrogance that made her look both vile and extremely seductive.
I'll let you know when I need you, Shin. But an animal like you should already know his own usefulness. I suggest you leave before you bother anyone further.
She winked at me with disdainful eyes. Fine then, I'll let you know about the tutoring later. I didn't bother giving any proper goodbye, so I simply left the tennis court. The swimming pool isn't too far off from the tennis court, but I had to take a little detour in case Ritsuko was planning something. Now this is more like it, I muttered, this as I found myself with the most delicious sight so far, several girls in tight blue school swimsuits, all strolling around and enthusiastically swimming across the pool. Their busty, fit bodies were paradise to me. Their figures were all exposed and yet conveniently covered in the tight fabric. There were plenty of materials to pick from here. There was only one person of interest to me, however, and that was Ayana Azaki. Jesus, they're so cliche. I was amused at how the principal had been fawning over her when he briefed me. It was as if he had a thing for her. I hope she lives up to my expectations. May I ask who you are? Huh? A soft, confident voice echoed behind me. Unlike that bitchy blonde, this voice was far more dignified and had a tone of kindness to it. What in the God's fuck am I looking at? One, there is no way that would be a school swimsuit. Two, that would be uncomfortable as fuck. Congratulations on the ass crack for that one. And three, why do all of them look like they're shrugging their shoulders? The neck is too small for this. I see the issue right now. It's just a bad proportion. What am I looking at here? It looks terrifying. Very manly. I turned around to find myself face to face with this blue-haired beauty. She had stunning eyes which matched her hair because we are nothing else if not exactly cliché. Good evening. She's actually quite the looker. What captivated me most was the confidence that she seemed to be exuding. It was soothing, but kept me on guard. It was as if she was berating me without a word, while also assuring me of everything. What the fuck are you writing? Is this like Deb's first fanfic? Are you the famous Ayana Azaki, miss? Indeed I am. With whom do I have the pleasure to speak with? She seems more approachable than the others. With this thought in mind, I smiled at her, bowing my head in return. I am Shin Akatsuki. The principal assigned me to be your tutor. Oh, is this regarding my recent grades? The neck is too short. The body is too... that bathing suit, no. Even by visual novel standards, no. Yes, it is Miss Azuki. She had shut her eyes and confidence grew in her posture as she began to speak, because God knows this bitch don't have a spine. I can positively say that I can recover on my own. However, I understand the fact that this is our last year. I guess we can't really help it. Classes are definitely more important than just club activities. You are quite wise. Please, just call me Anna. Anna, what the fuck ever. Very well, Anna, it is. Did you come all the way just to find me, Mr. Akatsuki? Hey, before anything else, just call me Shin. And indeed, I always try to be as productive as possible. I like that. It means we won't be wasting too much time. You're quite concerned, the same as Miss Katsuragi. Katsuragi, is she going to be taking the courses as well? I simply nodded back to her. Ayana sighed in response. Ah, that makes sense. Satsuki seems to give more importance to her club activities than to her actual studies. And how about you? Me, I'm simply just not good at all with math. Even simple arithmetic makes me lose my patience. Ayana, is something happening? The necks bother the shit out of me, by the way. Suddenly, another person appeared, approaching Anna. She's standing beside her in front of me. The student before me was wearing a basketball uniform, which, despite its looseness over her body, still clung against her plump chest and toned curves. Good evening, Taoko. The student called Tsuku stared at me for a second as if perplexed, reminding me of how Satsuki looked at me previously. Noticing us, Ayana laughed and smiled while she returned her gaze to me. Oh, this is Mr. Shin Akatsuki. He's the tutor the principal told us about the other day. I see, so the principal didn't tell them anything beyond the fact that they needed tutoring. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Akatsuki. I was just talking to Satsuki about you. I'm sure you remember her. I simply nodded, avoiding making any much of a big deal. Okay, of a big deal about her. Satsuki, oh yes, the archery babe. Yes, how could I forget? Ah, so they all know each other, it seems. This makes it a little easier for me. Depending on how the depths of their relationships, I might be able to exploit this against them. So, Mr. Katsuki, what brings you here to our club? As I was telling Ayana just now, I like doing work in advance, if you get what I'm saying. Taoko nodded her head as if understanding, but God knows she's probably brainless. Because all the girls in this are gonna be brainless. Just you wait and see. I see. You're lucky to find me here then. We're usually practicing for our next match at the gymnasium. Are these courses any inconvenience to either of you two? Not really. Well, I could certainly live without them, but there's nothing to do about it. If we flunk, we need to recover. It's our last year after all. Not to mention that the prefectural is coming soon. They could end up blocking our participation if we fail any of the tests. That's why we need to take this with a cool head, Ayana. Ah, you're always so wise, Taoko. I notice how warm Ayana smiled towards Taoko. Perhaps I shouldn't put too much thought into it yet. Taoko then looked at me. She made a soft smile towards me, keeping her cool manners from before. I look forward to our lessons, Mr. Akatsuki. Taoko sighed while eyeing Anna consistently. Ayana just smirked back at her while addressing me. Mr. Akatsuki, could you please excuse us? I just remembered we had an important thing. It's fine, our lessons won't begin until tomorrow. I still have to make preparations. Thank you. And just like that, the two attractive girls left to places unknown. Interesting. The sudden appearance of Taoko interrupted my nuanced conversation with Anna, but it also saved me the trouble of looking for her. The way Taoko was looking at Anna is also suspicious. Keeping this in mind, I left for my next destination. Ah, damn it, it's a bit hotter than I expected. Alright, so I'm actually going to leave it here. If you guys want to check this out for yourself, there's a link in the description. Go check it out using that. Personally, I find it very boring and very generic. There's nothing that really holds my interest in the game. It's... The artwork isn't that... It's okay. I have an issue with the stances and the look of the characters. There's no way that swimsuit would have been allowed. I don't know. Like I said, it feels like an American team trying to make a Japanese game. Not my thing. Again, it does have a Kickstarter, and there's a link in the description. Go give it some love. Go clicky that link. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining me for Sinfully Fun Games. And patrons, you're gonna get a lot of presents at the end of this week. And don't forget, tonight, we have Honey Pop Live for patrons. Bye, guys.